be swampy?
It's gonna be wet, that's for sure.
Oh, it's a river?
Yeah, there's a river. We can't get to Vassar, no way.
Too wet?
Oh yeah. But there's 4 or 5 spots we can hit.
On the back roads of Vassar. Just the concussion of the.
Forgot my coffee. Don't forget that.
My real name is Edward, but my middle name is Jackson. I go by Jack. I'm 14. I'm in 8th grade. I go to Logos School, and I love to play sports. Baseball, football, basketball. I've lived in Idaho my entire life, and it's really great. I love Moscow. It's a great town, small, not a ton of people here. I was 10 when my dad first took me hunting. My birthday is in January, so I had just turned 10 like 2 months ago.
The best thing about taking Jack turkey hunting is just watching him pull the trigger. I always thought, I don't know, maybe it's selfish, but I always thought going out and hunting turkey, especially turkey hunting, it's a lot like elk hunting where you trick the turkeys or trick the game. That's kind of the fun for me. And pulling the trigger is cool, but just watching your kids grow up. I mean, Jack was a little guy last year, right? And just watching him grow this year and thinking back 5 years ago or 4 years ago when he shot his first turkey, just to see him grow as a person, as a kid, as a hunter, that's what's in it for me. I mean, I love to turkey hunt, but it's just as much fun watching your kids grow. And interestingly enough, my 9-year-old kid, I've been taking him a lot since Jack's tagged out. I've taken him the last 4 or 5 times. He can't carry a gun, which he thinks crazy, because he's 9. He can hunt next year when he can shoot a gun. We've taken him out and shot, but that's the fun part for me, especially after Jack's last bird this year. It's way more exciting and thrilling to call one in for your son and have him shoot it, or your daughter. That's fun. 9 o'clock. It's me.
Last year was kind of rough. We went out like 6 times, several times. We got close, but we went several times. Didn't get much. Some days we didn't hear a thing. They were a long ways away, and then we chased them and they didn't talk. But it's been tough last year. The getting up early part is kind of rough. But then once you get there and you get out, then you're like ready to go, and you're like, hopefully you hear something. And then you gotta hike a lot. There's a lot of hiking to get to the good spots. And then especially if you hear something, it's usually in the other direction, so you gotta go back the way you came.
Was there more than one strider or just one? Really?
It's real easy on public ground to find an old logging road and walk down it 100 yards or 200 yards, and if you don't hear anything, go back to the truck. And I would say early on in my turkey career, that's what I like to do, and I guess that's what I was most comfortable with. But again, you have the challenge of facing birds that have been worked a lot. And so now I joke with my son Jack that we're just gonna go another 200 yards, and I think 200 yards to Jack's probably 2 miles now, just because I do like to hike a lot.
No, I'm not very patient, and nor is my dad. But this year we're trying a lot harder to be more patient, because we'd move way too early the years before, instead of just waiting, and calling less too. Calling less helps, I think. Sometimes it helps. Sometimes you gotta, if they're really going, then you gotta help them out. This year was all public land. Well, I haven't hunted much private land, but yeah, the place, I've gotten like 1 turkey-ish on private land, and that was not super hard, because there's more it's more accessible, because nobody really hunts there much, but in public land you gotta hike to where people don't hunt. Yeah, I started this year a little bit with the mouth call, and it doesn't sound very good yet.
The hardest thing about hunting public is just is all the people. Public land, especially with birds or any game, the more they're pressured, the smarter they get, they wise up, and so it makes it a lot more tricky. And I've got a couple spots, few spots that will hunt private this year. That's exciting, but it is also the thrill of going to find a 3-year-old smart tom. That's exciting. It's a challenge, and you know, Jack alluded to on his discussions that we hike a lot, and I like to go to places that are hard to get through, but that's why I like to go and just try and work birds that haven't been hammered a lot, because they get smart, right? Especially the older ones. We try and hike a lot to go find those birds that haven't been hunted quite as much. Most of the public land hunting, especially around here, it's within 25 minutes you can be in the woods. It's pretty accessible. All the timber companies around here are very lenient on letting hunters on their ground. It's up to us to be stewards of their ground, and they're pretty good about it. Most of the ground is pretty clean, but that's the fun part. The best part about turkey hunting, because I have buddies and people that have turkeys walking in that live out in the country, and they said, what's the thrill of just shooting a turkey? They're everywhere, and that's true, but like I said earlier, that part of chasing them deep into the woods, tricking them that you're a real hen and calling them in and taking that shot and just everything that goes into it, that's the exciting part for sure. It's the thrill. It's everything that we've talked about. Shutting the pickup door, loading up, hiking, setting tracks, finding birds, finding animals, and then tagging out and bringing it home. And like I said earlier, the best part now as a dad is just doing that with your family, right? And when they're little kids, they can't do that. You have your great moments and all that, but now for me the fun is taking the boys out. That's the fun part for me, for sure.
Did you hear him drumming?
Oh yeah.
The only thing I would end with is, you know, for people that like to hunt, stay with it, get your kids involved in hunting, do it for either the right reasons, you know, harvesting game, being stewards of the land, you know, providing for your family and eating that. It's fun. And having that family time and experience with your kids and even friends, you know, you go out with your buddies and then you see their kids going out now. It's just a good community to be a part of. And I guess that's the last thing I would say.
There's